Greetings. In the archives of reports and studies that I've read over the years on health and fitness, there's a persistent pattern in the not just low quality but bad quality of the reporting and the headlines. The studies may be fine, but they're not reported accurately. So one headline is, "Glycemic load has no long-term impact on weight loss." Now, glycemic load is the effect that the food you ate had on your blood sugar. The higher the load, the more blood sugar, and therefore, presumably, the more insulin. That was the headline. No long-term impact. Now, let's not just assume that it's an outright lie, this headline. It's inaccurate and imprecise, and misleading. But that doesn't have to be a lie. Lies are deliberate. So here, glycemic load, when they're talking about it, it's just sloppiness. The study did not look at the long-term impact of glycemic load on weight loss. It uses that in the headline, but that's not what was being studied. It was calorie restriction via a modality of low glycemic load. It studied the effect of calorie restriction on weight loss, comparing higher and lower glycemic load diets. There was a minor advantage at 6 months for the low glycemic load diet. At 12 months, there was no difference. Both groups yielded about an 8% weight loss. Well, that's pretty good, but it's not revolutionary. It was a good study. It was well designed, but it was about calorie restriction. There's another report about the same thing in the description, and it has an equally sloppy headline. It's just too bad that the studies are not reported carefully, because headlines matter. You can find them in a Google search, and the first thing that appears will be these disturbing headlines. And if you don't apply the incisive edge of your diamond-faceted intellect to the question, you might never know about the misreporting. Calorie restriction is a confounding factor. It's not about glycemic load anymore. It requires that you get fewer calories than you need. The theory is that you will release stored body fat to make up the deficit. Under the stress of calorie restriction, however, insulin levels are raised for a smaller number of calories. You're eating less, but your insulin is higher. Now, this washes out the low glycemic load. You can't metabolize stored body fat in the presence of excess insulin. It stands guard, insulin, and keeps fat locked up. This study shows then that calorie restriction, supposedly 30% less, but actually with measured cheating, maybe 16 or 17%, this calorie restriction allows for only an 8% loss in one full year. Now, that's weight, not fat. Muscle and bone, it could be a problem on a calorie-restricted, nutrient-restricted diet. Muscle that is not supported by a high-nutrient diet, that's called malnutrition. Calorie restriction is the wrong modality. Eat enough. Change your insulin. Low glycemic load seems to do that. Test it. Test it. Americans are 2/3 likely, 67% of Americans are likely to be overweight. From now on, write down approximately everything that you eat. By approximately, it's meant write down what you eat and approximate the serving size. Drinks, too, don't count calories, but write down the glycemic load of the carbs. Never get your nutrition from commercial liquids. Eat real food. Drinks don't have fiber. The nutrients blast into your bloodstream. If there are nutrients, the sugar does, and spike your insulin. So I've said this sort of thing a fair bit. The point here is we don't hope that we get good information. We've got to read the studies. There's not a whole lot of integrity on, I guess, is it clickbait? I'm not talking here about the specifics. This is about critical thinking. Identify your goal in terms of fitness, in terms of appearance, in terms of health. There's going to be a practice that's best for you. And it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, as I say. Have a great day.